glad you can join us. Here's what we have for you. Air Canada winds down operations as flight attendants prepare to walk out.
Just cut out the stuff that's holding everybody up and get the deal done.
The cost to the flying public of a contract impasse.
These folks are coming out and working as much as humanly possible.
The challenges for firefighters with smoke and extreme heat.
At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason.
Plus, the road to recovery leads to a wild ride.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Air Canada will begin cancelling flights tomorrow, gradually suspending takeoffs and landings to prepare for a shutdown. The phased suspension comes ahead of a possible strike by flight attendants starting Saturday at 1 a.m. Eastern. CUPE, the union representing the 10,000 employees, has given the airline 72 hours to reach a deal. CTV's Judy Trin is with us now. We'll talk about whether there's an 11th hour solution to avert a strike. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Sandy. The union says what the airline is offering is well below what flight attendants need. That leaves hundreds of thousands of customers caught in the middle. Air Canada has started canceling flights to lock out its flight attendants, even before they walk off the job, leaving some in a desperate lurch. Marianne Barrow's weekend flight to LA was canceled. She may not get to her family reunion.
It's been 3 hours. I'm on hold, like waiting. So I told my husband, drop me off at the airport. Maybe someone can help me from an Air Canada customer service. And they said they can't.
To explain why the airline is taking measures ahead of Saturday's strike deadline, Air Canada President Michael Rousseau says the airline regrets the impact of the disruption. He blames the disappointing conduct of CUPE's negotiators and says the risk of a strike can create chaos for travelers. The union representing 10,000 flight attendants said that Air Canada's offer doesn't keep pace with inflation.
The company came to us with a very minimal wage proposal. So they put 8% on the table in the first year, and that still would not pull our members out of the poverty level at the beginning.
Air Canada did offer a 38% increase in pay over 4 years, improved pension, ground pay, and crew rest, and an offer for binding arbitration. The airline will lose hundreds of millions of dollars if a strike can't be averted.
So they've struggled a bit with profitability the last quarter. So this is going to be something that will really hit the bottom line.
130,000 passengers could be impacted daily. For now, many remain on the side of the workers.
We think that they should get paid for what they're doing. If they're not getting paid for those hours boarding and deplaning, they should be paid for that.
For now, the federal government is staying on the sidelines, but it is offering negotiators or mediators to help with negotiations. Federal Labor Minister Patty Hajdu says the best agreements are the ones the parties reach themselves. Sandy.
All right, Judy, thanks so much for this. So what can you do if you're booked to fly Air Canada over the next few days and affected by the cancellations? We asked CTV's Adrian Gobriel to look into this for us. Hi, Adrian. What did you learn?
Sandy, what we found is that navigating your rights as an airline customer can still lack clarity, so we've set out to try and simplify. Now, if your flight has a lengthy delay or a cancellation, you're due additional compensation above and beyond the price of your ticket. However, the Canadian Transportation Agency's Air Passenger Protection regulations state that situations outside an airline's control include a labor disruption within the carrier or within an essential service provided.
They're treated like a giant winter storm, which basically means it's outside of the control, so there's no compensation. However, regardless of that, the airline still needs to complete your journey. And that's where it can get a little bit tricky for passengers. Normally what happens is completing your journey has to be done within 48 hours. Normally an airline, if it were a snowstorm, for example, they would try to find you another flight that gets you to your destination within 48 hours. In this scenario, there will be no other flights because it'll be a strike. So they'll automatically need to be looking at their competitors. But if there's no options there, then they do have to offer you a refund.
If you want to preemptively purchase an alternative ticket with a different carrier, you're going to want to see what you booked with Air Canada and see what the fare options are. Now, if you have a hotel booked, you're going to want to call them and see what they might be able to offer you as well. As for your credit card, well, it's always good to check with your provider to see if you have any built-in insurance. Though no matter which way you slice it, it could be a rough couple travel days for Air Canada passengers. Sandy.
All right, Adrian, thanks. One more labor dispute to update you on. Canada Post and the Canadian Union of Postal Workers will be back at the bargaining table on Friday with the help of federal mediators. In a statement, Canada Post said it will hear the union's response to the corporation's best and final offers presented in May. Well, wildfires are still raging on both coasts in British Columbia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland, with the situation near St. John's so worrisome, elective and day surgeries at several hospitals have been postponed. Neighborhoods outside the capital are on evacuation order, and now police are searching for a suspect looking to cause trouble. CTV's Garrett Barry now on the danger, the damage, and the challenges ahead. Garrett.
Sandy, it's taken everything this province can give to slow the spread of flames here near Paddy's Pond, and still more than 20,000 people are being told they need to be ready to leave their homes at a moment's notice.
Another run from a water bomber before it slips behind the smoke. Each of the province's 4 regular tankers were working here today, but so desperately needed, they're also being shared with another fire in the Conception Bay North area. There's so much demand for air assets across the country that officials in Newfoundland are looking further. They're bringing in privately owned aircraft, a pair of Black Hawk helicopters from Utah, a Sikorsky Fire Raptor, and a handful of other high-capacity helicopters. The bill for the rentals, more than $8 million.
The approach we're taking right now is to get as many assets here as we can. If we overpay and don't need them because the fires are out, I'll take that all day long.
What hasn't helped is a string of fires set overnight in downtown St. John's and some of the city's busiest areas that police believe are all suspicious.
We suspect that one person is responsible for multiple fires in this case. So we are looking for any information.
There's been a lot of speculation across the province about the cause of some of these fires, and today's information from St. John's is the closest that any official source has gone to suggesting there's some ill intent behind some of the incidents.
Okay.
Sandy.
All right, CTV's Garrett Barry. Crews in Cottage Country, Ontario are still battling 3 very active wildfires in the Kawartha Lakes district. And in Nova Scotia, aircraft are being used to fight an out-of-control wildfire burning just 10 kilometers west of downtown Halifax. While there is no immediate threat to structures or residents, one nearby health center was closed out of an abundance of caution. Crews on the ground battling the fire near Bayers Lake say they were helped by foggy and misty conditions this morning. Now, many parts of the country are still dealing with 30-plus temperatures, and the hot and dry conditions with no significant rain in weeks is contributing to greater challenges for firefighters. In New Brunswick, the Premier says those conditions have led to a tale of 2 fires.
We are seeing promising results from the hard work of the firefighting teams on the fire in Irishtown. And while we have put dozens of people and air resources and others on the Miramichi fire, it continues to grow.
And CTV Sarah Plowman is in Miramichi with an update on that troubling fire. Sarah?
Sandy, here in Miramichi, once again, it's been sweltering today. At times, it's been 37 degrees. With the Humidex, it feels more like 42 degrees. But just in the last little while, I've seen clouds roll in. I've seen just a little bit of rain. And I don't know if you can hear that, but that is the sound of thunder. I've also seen some lightning off in the distance behind me. There's a cold front that's moving in, and that's expected to help. As the Premier said in an update this afternoon, the firefight has been made worse by the extreme conditions that we've been experiencing in New Brunswick. Across the province, multiple places have set daily records this week, Environment Canada says. Some places nearly set all-time records. It's causing trouble for the firefighters. 3 of them had to go to the hospital with heat exhaustion, but they're doing okay. And there are 2 out-of-control wildfires in this province right now. One near Moncton, which the province is cautiously optimistic about now, now. They have a perimeter of water and retardant around it, but the one near Miramichi is still growing. It's more than 1,300 hectares in size. It's still what they call beyond control, and the best the firefighters have been able to do is steer it away from people. Still, though, no structures have been lost. The Minister of Natural Resources points out that what's needed is more moisture in the woods. As I mentioned, rain is expected, but so far I've just seen a very little amount of it. People here want a lot more. Sandy.
For sure. All right, Sarah. Now, conditions near Port Alberni, British Columbia are contributing to a potentially combustible situation with a fast-growing fire swelling in size. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson now on the explosive growth and how people are staying safe. Andrew.
Sandy, Port Alberni, population close to 20,000, has declared a state of emergency, and some of its neighborhoods have been told to be ready to go. Just one day ago, wildfire officials told us the nearby Mount Underwood fire was not a threat to the city, but it has grown more than 30% since yesterday to more than 21 square kilometers, fueled by drought and strong winds. An evacuation alert asking people to be packed and ready to leave at any moment has now stretched into Port Alberni.
That was a step that we certainly hoped not to have to take. Up until yesterday afternoon, we were looking at this fire as, you know, heading the other way, growing away from the community. So this was a big shift, and it came quite suddenly.
One couple in the alert zone is starting their vacation earlier than planned, and they're getting out now.
Once we had the evacuation notice, then all of a sudden it's, okay, everything, you know, all the important stuff needs to be packed. If it comes down to it, if we gotta go, we gotta go.
Evacuation orders already chased hundreds of people from a nearby campground and marina, plus rural properties. A road connecting Port Alberni to two small villages has been closed, and the power has been out in those communities since the day before yesterday. While crews on the ground and 10 aircraft hit this fire hard, all eyes are on the forecast. Rain could fall as soon as tomorrow night. Sandy.
Hopeful sign. Okay, CTV's Andrew Johnson. Canada's canola farmers are not hopeful because effective tomorrow, China will slap a nearly 76% anti-dumping duty rate on this type of rapeseed. It's retaliation for Canada's 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. CTV's Alex Carper reached out to some canola farmers, and Alex, what are they saying?
Sandy, canola growers that I have been speaking to say the new tariffs could have a significant impact on farmers, an industry that has already seen a lot of uncertainty due to dry and warm weather. Canola seed production generated $12.9 billion in 2024, making it the most valuable field crop in the country. China, which nearly sources all of its supplies of the product from Canada, announced preliminary duties on canola imports on Tuesday, escalating a years-long trade dispute. For Manitoba canola farmer David Hamblin, it's another here we go again moment.
Yeah, it's something that we're unfortunately getting kind of used to, that we're seeing these political things that are happening, and it's not, I don't think, near as shocking as these things used to be. We're seeing this more often. It's very unfortunate, but it's kind of the world we're living in.
Agriculture Minister Heath MacDonald and International Trade Minister Maninder Sidhu will be meeting with Canadian canola representatives today to discuss next steps. Canada is now in trade conflicts with the world's two largest economies, China and the United States. An agriculture professor I spoke to says canola prices are really starting to take a hit.
On Monday, you could sell your canola to Altona for $660 a ton, and on Tuesday afternoon it went to $630. So that's a pretty big drop in a single day for any kind of market move.
Back in March, China imposed a 100% levy on Canadian canola oil and meal plus peas. With the new tariffs coming into effect on Thursday, canola farmers right across the country are dealing with a lot of uncertainty. Sandy.
Okay, Alex. Well, the uncertainty is over for Hanes brands now that Canadian apparel company Gildan Activewear is buying the American business for just over $3 billion. The deal will give Gildan access to well-known name labels such as Hanes and Maidenform. Hanes Brands has been struggling in recent years and hasn't turned a profit since 2021. Gildan also makes products such as American Apparel and Peds. Coming up, Canada's take on the summit between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Plus,
Please stay away from the river.
Melting ice, flood fears, and a disaster declaration for a U.S. state capital. Officials say no one was hurt and no hazardous material leaked after a massive freight train derailment sent dozens of cars off the tracks in Texas. At least 35 Union Pacific freight cars and tankers were mangled and piled up after the train derailed close to Fort Worth. Emergency crews had to contain several grass fires that ignited after the derailment. There was a major flood threat in Juneau, Alaska, where people are being urged to get out before a glacial outburst.
Please stay away from the river. Being near the river just presents inherent danger.
This time-lapse footage shows the rising water levels of glacial lakes over the past 2 months. The water is usually dammed by a glacier, but warming temperatures are allowing more of it to escape. Tens of billions of liters could force water levels in the river to rise quickly. Well, this is a key week in the push to end the war in Ukraine. Donald Trump held a virtual call with European leaders and Volodymyr Zelensky, who is in Germany talking to allies, as the U.S. president prepares to meet with Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday. CTV senior political correspondent Mike LeCouture now on Donald Trump's position with 2 days to go. Mike.
Well, Sandy, there has been a notable shift in President Trump's tone this week when talking about Friday's meeting. He's gone from saying Ukraine should be ready for a land swap to now saying Russia better be prepared for some serious talks.
I don't have to say there will be very severe consequences.
President Trump with a stern but vague warning to Vladimir Putin if the Russian president isn't serious about negotiating in Alaska. Now, if that meeting does go well, the American president wants to move quickly towards another summit.
I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there.
European leaders emerged from a video conference with Trump this morning saying all agree. Any change to Ukraine's borders must be decided by Ukrainians. That call was to shape Friday's discussion. While Zelensky won't be at that table, he hopes the central focus is a ceasefire. Putin is bluffing about wanting to end the war, Zelensky told reporters, as well as European leaders and Trump. After a separate meeting of European countries and Canada, the coalition of the willing released a statement saying it is ready to implement military plans to support Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire.
We're ready to support this, including through the plans that we've already drawn up to deploy a reassurance force once hostilities have ceased.
When that could be remains an open question. Russian forces have reportedly pushed into territory held by Ukraine in the Donetsk region.
The only thing that is going to put an end to this war is if the U.S. gives a lot more military aid to Ukraine and allies itself with the Europeans and Zelensky.
President Zelensky has been pushing for more economic sanctions on Russia to cripple its war machine. It's something Trump has been reluctant to consider so far. Sandy?
Mike, thanks. Still ahead, mystery in the sky and labeled an unidentified flying object. We'll tell you what it is unless you can guess after the break. Stargazers in southern Ontario spotted something unusual in the sky last night, fueling speculation online about what it could be.
You drop your stages as you go. So as you spent your fuel, you get rid of part of the rocket to make your rocket lighter and easier to push farther into space.
The unique bow tie-shaped light led to dozens of posts and theories. However, there is a simple explanation. It is part of a rocket that launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida last night. A chance encounter and an act of kindness allowed a 92-year-old pilot's pass to once again take flight.
Such a long time since I've been in one, so I feel like I'm starting all over again almost.
It's been 70 years since Ron Duholke flew inside a Harvard aircraft. He trained in this type of plane in 1956 for the Royal Canadian Air Force. Last week, he happened to strike up a conversation with a pilot at a small Edmonton area airport who happened to own the same plane. That pilot was kind enough to help out and let the veteran pilot relive his past. And a little revenge on the baseball diamond came in a rare form last night for the Los Angeles Angels, turning a triple play off the bat of their former star, Shohei Ohtani.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Lined up to middle. Nettles got it. Stops on second. Throw to first. It's a triple play. Whoa!
The 3-time MVP Ohtani, who now plays for the rival LA Dodgers, hit into the rare feat. The Angels would go on to win the game. After the break, small animals, big impact, how this farm in PEI was inspired by a bolt of lightning. When lightning struck, Paul Matheson's world changed. He developed health issues, went into a funk. But when one door closes, another opens. Matheson found recovery in an unusual way when life ponied up. CTV's Maria Saru has the story.
Step for step, Paul Matheson is never alone out here. Some follow him on 4 legs, some on 2. This farm wasn't always a part of his plan, but a 1 in a million moment rewrote the rest of his life.
At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason, and I guess this was the reason.
On a day as sunny as this one in August 2013, Matheson says a storm suddenly started. He ran outside to roll up his truck windows when he was struck by lightning.
There was a big bang and white flash all at once. The lightning hit the telephone pole, come down the guide wire, and basically threw me into the truck.
In the aftermath, Matheson was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and had to give up his work as a paramedic. For nearly 3 decades, he served communities in Canada and around the world, from Algeria to Paris.
Now Matheson's work is here at the Brudenell Miniatures Barnyard Zoo. It all started with a pint-sized horse he bought his granddaughter. Then, over the years, he filled a farm.
These days, it's how he gives back.
It's our favorite place to come to every single time we come visit PEI. It brings the kids a lot of joy.
I like seeing the animals. They're so cute, and I just like to have a chance to feed them. He bites my hand.
Matheson says it's these smiles that make the experience all mean something.
What's your favorite animal?
The PTSD is hard for him to talk about, but he wants to help raise awareness. He says while lightning can strike without warning, so can happiness. Maria Saru, CTV News, Brudenell, Prince Edward Island.
And thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Your local CTV News is coming up. We'll see you tomorrow, we hope. Bye for now. Have a nice evening.